Hello, or should I say bonjour. Today on Cooking with the Wooden Spoon, we are making one of my favorites, French onion soup. I love French onion soup. Oftentimes, when we go out to restaurants, if I see that on the menu, I get that. I love the onions, I love the broth, I love the crusty bread and the cheese. I love everything about French onion soup. It just happens to be from France, which I also love. So, when Julia Child, which some of you probably know who she is a wonderful French chef, was a wonderful French chef. She lives on, though, through her recipes. She has a French onion soup. Actually, she has an onion soup recipe in her cookbook. We Americans have adapted it to be French onion soup because everyone associates French onion soup or onion soup with the French. So we are doing, I'd say 90% her recipe with a few tweaks from me. Um, I know, like, how arrogant to change Julia Child's recipe, but two reasons that I'm adapting her recipe or diverting from it. One, I don't have cognac. I don't know anybody that I can call and say, I only need 2 teaspoons. I don't want to go buy cognac. So that's the first reason. And okay, there are 3 reasons. Second, I really love Worcestershire sauce in my French onion soup. So we're putting a dash of that in, and Julia Child does not do that. And she uses Swiss cheese to top her French onion soup. And I'm going to try Swiss cheese, and then I'm going to try what I usually make French onion soup with, which is Gruyere. So we're going to do a little taste test and see which of those tastes better. Um, it's not a very difficult soup. I tend to make this soup more difficult on myself because I always have to use my own beef broth. Making broth or stock is not difficult. It's time consuming sometimes, but totally worth it. I will be making a video in the future on how to make stock and broth and what the difference is between the two. So stay tuned for that. But really, the hardest thing for today's recipe, making it today, is chopping the onions. And you see my little French flag and my onion. Love it. And even that is not very difficult. So we will go ahead and get started. I have been asked before multiple times, what's the secret to cutting an onion? I don't have a secret to cutting an onion, but I can tell you that for this soup, I always make sure that the onions are cut the same width. It will make a difference in cooking time and cooking efficiency. So I try to make them not super thin, but thin. It will take a long time to cook um, onions that are pretty thick. So we're going to make them on the thin side, but not super thin, because if you have the onions super thin, then you risk burning them, which you also don't want to do. Cooking the onions is the part of this soup that takes the longest, and it's not difficult. It just takes patience and stirring, but as with most things in life, it's worth it. The patience that you extend to different circumstances and different foods, it pays off in the end. I don't consider myself patient person by any means, but in cooking, it's different. All we are going to do is cut our onions, and then we will meet together at the stove. As you can see, we don't have a lot of ingredients, which is good, but the ingredients we do have are amazing. So we start out with 1.5 pounds, or about 5 or 6 cups of onions. And we're also going to use 3 tablespoons of flour, 3 tablespoons of butter, 1/2 cup of a dry white wine. I'm using a Riesling that my son actually made that is super delicious. He makes lots of really delicious wines. And then 1 teaspoon of sugar. So what the sugar does actually is it helps the onions to brown. So that's an important ingredient to have. And then, as I talked about before, the lean parents Worcestershire sauce. I love this stuff. I associate this with my dad because he used it for everything, and I try to put it in as much as I can myself just because it makes me happy to remember him. So we'll be using that, and then we need 6 cups of my beef broth. Doesn't have to be my beef broth, but you can make this with your own beef broth or store-bought beef broth. It does, in my opinion, make the difference when I make this with my own stock or broth. So, but really, this soup is so good. You will just be blown away with the flavor. So we're waiting for a couple of minutes for our pan to heat up because I always start with a hot pan. We've warmed our pan up for 5 minutes, and we are going to put in our butter, our sugar, our onions. Smells good. I'm probably one of the only people in the world that actually really likes the smell of onions. I think they're awesome. This is the part that I was saying takes patience, but is so worth it. Julia Child, we'll just call her Julia, and you won't know if I'm talking about Julia, my daughter-in-law, or Julia Child. But Julia recommends that we cook the onions with a lid because it steams the onions better, and it will cook them quicker. So we're going to cover this up after I make sure that all of the onions are pretty well separated, and sprinkle the sugar all over. Okay, well, we will cook these down, and I'll let you see them partway through and then when they're all cooked. So we'll come back together soon. We're at an hour for these onions. You can see they are just starting to get brown, which is what we are looking for. So we're going to let these cook and brown a little bit longer, and I will let you know when they are done. We'll be trying 3 different kinds of cheese. Walmart Swiss cheese, not too exciting. This is such good cheese. Cheddar Gruyere. This is made in Wisconsin, and this is also made in Wisconsin. It's just a plain Gruyere. So we will try them all and decide which one is best. So this sourdough bread is from Mo at the Dodgeville Farmers Market. He is 16 and he makes such delicious sourdough bread. It is pretty crazy that he is that young and that talented. But this is going to be perfect for our French onion soup. I've actually waited to make this soup until I could get to the market and buy this bread from Mo because it is so good. And I knew that it would make my French onion soup next level. So we are going to toast this and have it ready for when our soup is done. We are at an hour and 45 minutes. I should have mentioned when I started this that I do have a rule. I don't make French onion soup when I'm hungry. If I make French onion soup when I'm hungry, then I don't allow this to happen. Beautiful. I get impatient. I know that it tastes better once the onions get to this point, but I have made French onion soup when in times when I haven't been patient. So we're pretty much there. This is pretty awesome. I'd say you could go a little bit longer, but we are going to go with this. As long as we're just about boiling with this. This is going to be so good. I got my bread ready and my cheese ready. So we have all of the dishes done. We are just waiting on these onions and they smell so good. Okay, we are going to cook our flour for 3 minutes and we're going to continue to stir as we cook the flour. So good. I wish I had doubled the recipe though, because the amount of time that it takes to cook these onions, I should have done a double batch. But it'll be good. I think we're going to stir for a few minutes. It's been 3 minutes. Our onions really do smell so good. I'm going to add our beef broth carefully because it is boiling. It's easy from here, I promise. Oh gosh, this smells so good. Oh my gosh. I just love this soup. I am pretty excited about it. Now we add our white wine. We make sure that this comes back up to pretty warm temperature. Well, actually, it is pretty warm. That'll cook the alcohol out, and then we're just going to do our little drops of Worcestershire sauce. This is going to be so good. We are going to let this stir or let this cook for 30 minutes, and then we will do our taste test. And I'm pretty excited about our taste test. We are going to be trying 3 different kinds of cheese, and we are going to be having the amazing Mo's sourdough bread. So it'll be good. One thing that I wanted to mention, often when I am making soups, I keep the lid halfway off and halfway on. That lets the steam come out, but still keeps it kind of moist in there. So I think Bo is ready to try our soup. He's playing musical chairs tonight. He's going to take Daddy's chair right now, but he'll probably get a bite of cheese later, so it'll be all worth the wait for him. This soup is so worth the wait. I actually didn't try it yet. I wanted to wait to try it together. I'm very excited. We have our 3 kinds of soups. Our first soup that we are trying is traditional Swiss cheese. So let's give this a try. I'm pretty excited. Wow. Honestly, Moe's bread is just as good as my soup that took 3 hours. It is so, so, so good. I like the Swiss cheese. I like that it kind of is stringy. I think that's kind of quintessential French onion soup. So pretty good. Mm, it's really good. The there aren't many ingredients in this, but every ingredient serves its purpose, I guess I would say. Even the wine gives it just a little tanginess, maybe I would say. But next we have cheddar Gruyere. This is not traditional, but this is Wood River Creamery in Wisconsin. And this cheddar Gruyere is really on its own fantastic. But I wanted to try it with this soup. Hmm. Different. In a weird way, this cheese brings out the soup more. So the Swiss cheese, I taste a lot of the Swiss cheese and not as much of the soup. And I didn't expect this Gruyere, this cheddar Gruyere, to allow me to taste the soup as much. That's really good. That is really good. That's different. Okay. Third is red apple Gruyere, and this is made in Barron, Wisconsin. We're still getting to know the city name, so I couldn't tell you where that is. Let's see. The neat thing about French onion soup is that it, well, there are a lot of neat things about it. But the bread, the sourdough from Moe's, starts out small and you can see the water makes it expand. But in the expansion, it's soaking up all of that French onion soup, which is just fantastic. So let's try the plain old Gruyere. Mm. Wow, that's really good too. I'm going to have a hard time making up my mind. The Swiss cheese is what I thought uh, I would like because I've had it with Swiss cheese and because that is what Julia Child recommends. Um, but I actually like the Gruyere better. I think I like the plain Gruyere because it gives more of a traditional French onion soup taste for me. I think they're all fantastic. This soup is so good. The richness of the broth that I made is fantastic. I'm excited to show you how to make the broth in a future video because it really elevates the taste of your soup. I put peppercorns in the broth when I make it. Um, and I can taste just a hint of the peppercorns in this. I didn't put a lot of pepper in, actual pepper in when I was making this, just a little bit on the onions. But wow, this is good. I hope you enjoyed this. I can't say you enjoyed it as much as I did because I get to eat this, but if you make this, let me know. It seems daunting, but really the only daunting thing about this soup is having the patience to not put the soup together until the onions are done. If you can have the strength to do the onions until they are brown, your soup is going to be fantastic.